Hey everybody, this is Millie in the City with the legendary photographer Oggie Ogburn. How are you, sir?
Doing fine. Doing
Thank
fine
you
today.
so much for taking the time out today to meet with me. I appreciate it. So I'm going to jump right in.
Go
So I'm
ahead.
excited
I'm
to
ready.
talk with you.
I'm ready.
My first question is, I was watching the House of Ogburn, and it came to me that, in my opinion, you were basically the first Facebook. I don't know if they stole the idea from you, but in watching it, that was the first thing that came in my mind. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the House of Ogburn was started by my grandfather.
Okay.
What happened was him and his first cousin. They were from South Hill, Virginia, and they got together, and they were talking about, I want my kids to know your kids like we knew each other.
Right.
And so my grandfather was a minister, and he had a church, and his cousin was in insurance. He said, "I'll put up the money, and you handle the paperwork." And the first reunion that they had was in 1943, and there's a picture of it that I have that you can see that's on the desk.
Okay.
And I was a baby in my mother's hands. My mother's arms. She had me on her lap, and this was the first reunion, and I have been going to the reunions ever since. And eventually I became president of the family, which is deep.
Right.
You want to talk about politics?
And the family, yes.
Yeah.
I got
And
it.
I have to show you eventually the picture when I became president. We were at the Jefferson Hotel in Richmond on the
Okay.
steps. We were all the way up the steps. This is about 350 people, and that was on the same steps where they did Gone with the Wind
Yes.
at the
Okay.
Jefferson Hotel. And so I was very heavy into the family, so I started a family newsletter
Okay.
called the Family Visitor. And I was blessed enough to get Rosa Parks reading it, and Melba Moore.
Wow.
I had Isaac Hayes, pictures with Isaac Hayes and Patti LaBelle, and I enjoyed it. That was before I became president. I was an editor of the newsletter,
Okay.
and I enjoyed so much getting into the family, getting into the history, because again, we were lost, go to school all your life, you don't really know who your history is.
Right.
And I discovered, and I say it a lot, that if you know your history, it empowers you.
I realize that now.
Yeah. So yeah, the House of Ogburn has been very instrumental in my development. And I say my grandfather started it with his cousin, and my uncle eventually became president. And since I did the newsletter, he politicked. It was a politician kind of thing.
Right.
Well, David did the newsletter. We should be the next president. And then you have somebody else. Well, so and so should be the next president. I'm saying,
Right.
I'm in the record business. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be
Right.
president of nothing that straight. So I had to get suits and stuff. Because the record thing, we had silk shirts, leather pants.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
We wore
yeah.
Stacey Adams shoes a lot though.
Oh, yeah.
Back then. And so I was president for like 5 years, and it was a trip. But politics with the family is heavy.
Right. Okay. So I use the words because I talk to your mentee, Daryl A. Carter. Talks about you all the time, ad nauseum.
Yeah.
But in my research and just from the things that he said, the words legendary come to mind when we're talking about you as a photographer. So my question is, why do you have a Love Jones? Because that's the only two words I could come up with for photography. What is your Love Jones? Where
Well,
does that come from?
If you have any kind of instincts for learning or wanting to improve yourself, photography was a good instrument for that, because I used to walk around D.C. with my camera. And that's when I realized that I took pictures of homeless people, and I took pictures of our culture, basically.
Right.
And I did a video on the homeless people, because that's one of the things that I really feel strongly about. When a person doesn't have a place to live,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest with you, they gotta be heavy to live on the street, and have a way to eat, and whatever. So I did a video on them, and like I say, just going to the museums, I sort of got into the main museums that were started by the Mellons. And Paul Mellon and him and his sister did the modern one, and their father started the main one. I can't tell you, the Museum of Art History,
Right.
Whatever, downtown on the mall, whatever. And so knowledge was always something, and that's why I fell in love with the computer, because it made a playing field, leveled the playing field as a photographer, where people could see your work. People know that I traveled with a historian, Chancellor Williams,
Yes.
and a lot of that came through the internet, really. And I have things on YouTube that I'm very proud of, and one of them is like eight chapters that somebody else did of me interviewing Chancellor Williams.
Oh, yes.
And it was like black on black crime, and he taught at Howard 27 years. So I was really blessed. I didn't take any classes under him, but I was really blessed to hook up with him.
Amazing.
And in the music business now, the first group that I really became tight with was Earth, Wind and Fire.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the main groups, one of the better groups that
of
you
today.
could. Yeah, right. So I've been blessed in a lot of ways to hook up with one of the greatest historians, and Earth, Wind and Fire, and then like the work for Nabob as a photographer, meeting all these artists and politicians, and after you get to see somebody up for certain years, you begin to know them, and like I said, I wasn't a groupie. I felt that I was just equal to anybody else.
Oh, yes.
Just as good as anybody else.
Just had that discussion.
but just hungry for knowledge is photography just opens up doors, and I even got to blessed enough through photography to go to Egypt.
Oh wow, amazing.
And recently, I was blessed enough to go to Ghana. Reverend Gill came by here. She was a newspaper person, and that's how I met her, taking pictures for a newspaper. And then she became a reverend. So she came by here one day. She came at me like the mafia.
Oh.
She had on a trench coat. She had a collar up, and she said, "Do you want to go to Africa?" I said, "No, I don't have any money and anything. She says, "Well, we'll pay your way and your expenses." So I said, "That's an offer I can't refuse."
You packed it up. You're just like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. So I was blessed enough to go to Ghana, and I think I was there 2 weeks.
Oh, amazing.
And and one of the things that I have to say, I want to mention, is that I covered the judiciary hearings for the impeachment of Nixon. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
And there was 3 congressmen, 3 African American congressmen on that. It was Conyers, the female was Rangel, and the female was Barbara Jordan. Barbara Jordan, she was a congressman, right? Those were the 3 blacks on the judiciary hearings.
Okay.
And so what happened? The woman that was I went for a magazine called Encore, which is equivalent to Times or Newsweek, but it was a black thing.
Right.
And so I was with the writer, and what happened was when I got there, I had on my, I was my Latin outfit. I had on one of them shirts that you didn't tuck in, fancy.
Gotcha.
So when I walk in a place, the guy jumps on me right away. "Where's your shirt and tie?" I said, "Hey, I ain't into this thing that regular, so I didn't know I was supposed to have a shirt and tie, that kind of thing, but." Because I was black, they didn't want to start no squabbles. Well, you got to let the black guy in, of course. And so what happened is when the television, the woman, I was standing next to the woman I was writing the story for the magazine. She said, "Look up, the television's on us." And my mother saw me. So that was a great moment.
Classic. Love it.
Right.
Love it.
Right. And another thing too, I was in Ghana, and cell phones to me, a cell phone is a miracle. Because I was in the alley, my little cell phone when I first got one, and I called my mother in New York, and we're talking, and I'm saying to myself, like, there's no wires.
Right.
But so I've just been fascinated, learning and just growing, and one of the things I always say too, you never get too old to learn.
I agree with that, sir.
And one more story I have to tell you right away, since I'm talking about this.
Okay.
I went to a funeral with down home, South Hill.
Okay.
And I was roommates with my father's uncle, my great uncle, Herbert. And I was doing something, and when I turned around, Uncle Herbert was on his knees praying before he went to bed. So I also say, you never get too old to pray.
Every day, all day, twice on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I do it all day long.
Right,
I'm so grateful. Oh man, you'd be surprised.
I love it. I love it. I am in your home, so thank you for welcoming me in your home. And all of these pictures are so amazing. My question is, is there one shot, one photography session, anything that has eluded you?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
You know what has eluded me? I was at a thing called a salon, and we were talking with people that are art collectors in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same day. I was good friends with Cora Barry.
Mm-hmm.
And Cora Barry has a tennis thing out in Southeast.
Yes.
The day that I was doing the salon, whatever you call it, somebody asked me, was there something else that you would rather do that you haven't done? I said, I wish right now I was out at Cora Barry's tennis thing because the Williams sisters was there.
Of course.
And that's who I would.
Of course they were.
And I would, because she was tight with their mother. Because Cora's from California too. So, you know, she knew, I guess the parent, you know, the mother, you know, they were all about the same age. And I wish I was out there shooting the Williams sisters, Serena and Venus. I still want to shoot them one day, you know?
So with that, because my next question it goes right there, any photography regrets? Any regrets?
Yeah, a couple, because what happened was I had shot like 16 rolls of film of, I'm trying to think who the artist was. It might have been Jody Watley.
Of her?
And somebody else, but I had 16 rolls of film.
Okay.
And when I went to develop them, the first 6 rolls, I used the wrong chemicals, so they didn't come out.
Oh.
And the other 6 rolls sort of covered. I was able to cover my back.
Okay.
Even though one of my boys, Tony Winger, who worked for Epic, he said, did you take a picture of this? I said, I think I shot that in color. So when I developed the color stuff, you see that one. You know, but,
you were quick.
I got through.
Quick
I got through that, yeah. And, but you know, actually I messed up a lot. But because I had a dark room, you could compensate a bad negative through filters and papers and, you know, my mentoree who you mentioned, Darryl, could explain that you can, you know, be compensated and improve a picture in the dark room
Right.
if the negative wasn't cool.
Okay. Your mentee, we talk about him a little bit too. Where did the combination of music and photography come from? Because I know you had spoke earlier with J.B. Jones that your sister gave you the camera and we understood where that story came from, but the love for the two, where do you feel like that came from?
I had started taking pictures, neighborhood stuff, kids, family, friends, and I had a young daughter that, you know, when I came to Washington, I just got a divorce.
Okay.
My daughter was maybe 6 months old, wasn't that old. I won't tell you where the divorce came from,
Okay.
but it got me out of the marriage. Went down, okay?
Okay.
Justifiably, let's put it
Justifiably,
that way.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that next time. Justifiably.
And so I enjoyed taking pictures of my daughter, you know, and having that around and stuff. And what was the question again? One more time. Go ahead.
Thank God I wrote it down. And so my question was, where did the combination of music and photography come from?
Well,
Yes,
I
sir.
sort of mentioned a little earlier to JV, but what happened was I got into taking pictures. And then my neighbor, Andre, was the first music director at WHUR.
Right, okay.
So he would say, well, bring your camera over to the station, because actually there was some white boys that sort of dominated this market as far as shooting the entertainers.
Okay.
It came out of Schwartz Brothers. Schwartz Brothers was a record distributor, and they distributed a lot of music from Motown and a lot of other, you know, record companies. And so when Andre hooked me up with the radio station, that's when the music and the photography got together, and that's when Employment of Enjoyment was really born.
Employment of Enjoyment. Don't you love that?
It was really born. When the music and the photography got together.
I love that.
You know?
Today, what advice do you have for upcoming photographers and musicians? Because I got to lump the two in together for you at least.
You know, basically, first of all, when you start to try something new, you might have some people that's going to try to discourage you. Oh, you ain't going to do
yes.
that.
Don't I know it?
And what you have to do is stay strong to your gut, and if you really love it and stick with it, you will win. You'll be a win-win.
That's speaking to my heart right now. So, I have one other question, and I want you to think about it. Well, knowing you, you'll probably come right out with it. As such an accomplished black photographer and a part of the history makers. What does your inner peace look like?
Well, believe it or not, my inner peace is really not where I am. My inner peace comes from the journey to get to where I am.
Okay, so that's what it looks like.
That's what it is.
Okay.
You know?
And because I am who I am, I do have one more question.
Okay, Millie.
In the city,
Yeah,
right?
Millie in the city.
Are you single, dating,
Well,
or Mrs. Oggie
well,
coming up soon?
I, through my experiences, your kid could drive you crazy.
Yes, mine drive me crazy.
Your job or your boss could drive you crazy.
Oh yes, my boss drives me crazy.
And your lady can drive you crazy.
I don't have a lady.
So yeah, well,
I know.
I just try to keep control of all three of those.
Okay.
You know, and that's about it.
So that's your woman, then.
Right.
Those three.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I know that you're a very busy man, and I appreciate you talking with me. Thank you so much, and I am out. Pretty deuces. Thank you.
Thank you.